What's up? I'm Lily. Revenge Crown brings you the stories that keep you hooked. If that sounds good, smash subscribe and let's go. The text came through while I was finishing a design proposal for a tech startup in San Francisco. He had no idea about a lot of things. The text sat on my screen, glowing in the dark of my home office. 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. My brother Marcus, 28 years old, had just quit his job at the marketing firm. The job he complained about for 3 years but never actually left because it paid well and required minimal effort. Now he'd left. And his very first thought was on how will I survive? Or what is my plan? It was, Jenna will take care of it. I stared at the message, read it again. Then again. You owe me after all Mom and Dad did for you. I'd heard variations of this my entire life. The family mythology that I was the one who'd been given everything, who'd had it easy, who owed some kind of unpayable debt. The reality was different. I was 31. Marcus was 28. We'd grown up in the same house with the same parents, but in completely different universes. When Marcus was 16 and wanted a car, Dad consigned a loan for a Mustang. Used, but still. A Mustang. When I was 16 and wanted a car, Mom said, "You're so independent. We know you'll figure it out." I worked at Subway and a movie theater simultaneously. Saved for 8 months and bought a 1998 Toyota Corolla with 140,000 miles. The check engine light was permanently on. When Marcus wanted to go to college, Mom and Dad paid his room and board at state school. He needs support, Mom said. He's still finding himself. When I wanted to go to college, they said the same thing. You're so independent. I went to community college. Worked full-time, transferred to a state school on scholarships, graduated with $28,000 in loans. I paid them off last year. When Marcus graduated with a degree in communications and no job prospects, he moved back home. For 2 years, rent-free. When I graduated, I had a job lined up and an apartment rented. Mom had smiled and said, "See? You always land on your feet. Landing on your feet isn't the same as being caught." But they never seemed to understand the difference. Marcus had been at his marketing job for 5 years. It paid $52,000 a year, which was decent but not great.
He complained constantly about his boss, about the work,
About the commute, about the office politics. But mostly he complained about being unfulfilled. Meanwhile, I'd been quietly building a career. I'd started as a junior designer making $38,000. I'd worked nights and weekends learning new software, building my portfolio, networking, pitching. Now I was senior level at a design agency, managing major accounts, pulling in multiple 6 figures. My family knew none of this. They knew I did design work. They knew I lived in a nice apartment in the city. They assumed I was scraping by because that's what they wanted to believe. It made their own choices make sense. If I was struggling, then their distribution of resources had been fair. If I was thriving, then they'd have to confront what they'd actually done. So they just assumed struggle. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Marcus. "I've already told my landlord I'm not renewing my lease. I'm moving in with you next month. We can figure out the logistics later," not asking, telling. I screenshot both messages. Then I opened my text thread with Rebecca, my financial advisor. I'd hired her 2 years ago when I realized my family's financial dysfunction was starting to bleed into my own money management. She'd helped me untangle everything, including the joint account. The account Mom and Dad had opened when I was 18. "You need to start building credit," Dad had said. "We'll put you on our account. It'll help you establish a banking history." What it actually did was tie me to their financial decisions. Every mortgage payment on their house came from that account. Every car payment, every utility bill. For 13 years. And every dollar in that account, mine, my deposits, my paychecks. At first it was my minimum wage from Subway. Then my community college work-study stipend. Then my entry-level designer salary. Then my raises, then my bonuses. They'd been living off my income for over a decade, thinking it was family money. 6 months ago, Rebecca had looked at my bank statements and gone very quiet. "Jenna," she'd said carefully, "do your parents know these are your accounts? They're joint accounts," I'd said. "No, you're the primary account holder. They're authorized users." There's a difference. That difference had been the beginning of everything. Rebecca had helped me document everything. Every deposit, every payment, every withdrawal. She'd helped me understand that I wasn't obligated to continue, that I could revoke their access, that I could protect myself. They'll panic, I'd said. Yes, Rebecca had agreed. They will. And that panic will tell you everything you need to know about what this relationship actually is. Now I texted her. Marcus just quit his job. Says I owe him support. Says he's moving in with me. Do it. 3 dots appeared immediately. Rebecca, say the word and it's done. The word, we'd established it 3 months ago. One word to implement what we'd been calling Financial Independence Protocol. Remove all authorized users. Freeze all cards connected to my accounts. Cancel all standing transfers. Reclaim my money. I'd been waiting for the right moment. Or maybe the wrong moment. The moment that would make it undeniable that this had to happen. This was it. I typed one word, now. I sent it to Rebecca. Then I replied to Marcus. No, that was it. Just, no. I turned off my phone. I finished my design proposal. I sent it to the client. I made tea. I sat on my balcony and watched the city lights. For 30 minutes I had peace. Then I turned my phone back on. 67 missed calls, 34 text messages, 12 voicemails. It had been 30 minutes. The texts were a progression. A timeline of realization and panic. Marcus, 11:52 p.m. What do you mean no? Marcus, 11:53 p.m. Jenna, I'm serious. I already quit. Marcus, 11:58 p.m. Stop being dramatic. Call me back. Mom, 12:03 a.m. Marcus said you refused to help him. What's going on? Marcus, 12:07 a.m. My card just declined. Something's wrong with the account. Dad, 12:15 a.m. Jenna, your mother's card was declined at the grocery store. Is there a problem with the bank? Marcus, 12:18 a.m. Jenna, my rent auto pay just failed. What the fuck did you do? Mom, 12:23 a.m. I can't access the account. It says I'm not authorized. This must be a mistake. Call me. Marcus, 12:31 a.m. I swear to God if you did something to the accounts ... Mom, 12:35 a.m. The bank said you removed us. This has to be an error. Please call immediately. Marcus, 12:41 a.m. You bitch, you actually did it, you cut yous off. I read them all. Slowly, carefully. Then I listened to the voicemails. Voicemail 1, Marcus, 11:55 p.m. Jenna, what the hell? Call me back right now. Voicemail 3, Mom, 12:05 a.m. Sweetheart, there seems to be some confusion with the accounts. Can you please call the bank in the morning and straighten this out? Voicemail 7, Dad, 12:20 a.m. Jenna, I don't know what's happening, but your mother is very upset. Please call us so we can discuss this calmly. Voicemail 12, Marcus, 12:45 a.m. His voice was shaking, actually shaking. Jenna, I don't understand why you're doing this. I thought we were family, please. I just quit my job. I need help. I deleted them all. Then I sent one text to the family group chat. The accounts you've been using are my accounts. I opened them. I fund them. You are authorized users. You're not anymore. This is not a mistake. Do not contact me about this. I left the group chat. I blocked their numbers. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up the folder Rebecca and I had prepared, documentation, evidence, the paper trail of 13 years. Every bank statement showing me as the primary account holder, every deposit slip with my name, every payment I'd made. Mortgage, $2,100 month for 6 years equals $151,200. Car payments, $680 month for dad's truck. $425 per month for mom's sedan equals $79,800 over the years. Utilities, $340 month equals $53,040. Credit cards, $800 $2,000 month in payoffs equals approximately $156,000. Total. Over $440,000 of my money had funded their lives. And they thought I owed them. The next morning, I woke up to 23 more missed calls from unknown numbers, extended family. People who'd gotten my number from Mom, from Dad, from Marcus. I didn't answer any of them. I went to work. I had a meeting with a tech startup. The presentation went well. They approved the full $240,000 proposal. My commission would be $36,000. My phone buzzed continuously in my bag. I ignored it. At lunch, I checked my email. There was one from Rebecca with the subject line, "Documentation confirmed." The email contained legal verification. A letter from the bank on official letterhead confirming that I was the sole owner of all accounts. That I had legally and rightfully revoked authorized user access. That no fraud had occurred. That my family had no legal claim to any funds. I forwarded it to my personal email, saved 3 copies, printed 2. Then I checked my voicemail. Voicemail 18, Mom, 8 a.m. Jenna, please. I don't understand why you're doing this. We've always been a family. We've always helped each other. I'm supposed to pay the mortgage tomorrow and I can't. Please call me back. Voicemail 24. Marcus, 9:30 a.m. My landlord is threatening to evict me because my rent check bounced. Jenna, you're destroying my life. How can you do this to your own brother? Voicemail 31. Dad, 11 a.m. Jenna, I'm at the bank. They confirmed what you said, that these are your accounts. I had no idea. I thought they were family accounts. Can we please talk? Please. That one stopped me. I had no idea. 13 years. 13 years of my deposits going into those accounts. 13 years of my paychecks. 13 years of me paying their bills. And he had no idea? That wasn't possible.
He'd had an idea. They all had.
They'd just chosen not to examine it too closely. Because examining it meant confronting what they were taking, what they'd been taking. How much they relied on me while simultaneously dismissing me as the one who always lands on her feet. I deleted the voicemails. That afternoon, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. Subject, from Marcus. I almost deleted it. But something made me open it. Jenna, I don't understand why you're doing this. Yes, I made an assumption about you helping me. But that's what family does. We help each other. You've always been the stable one, the responsible one. I thought you'd understand that I need time to figure out my path. Mom and Dad are panicking about the mortgage. Did you know that? Did you care? They might lose the house because of you. I made a mistake quitting my job without a backup plan. I admit that. But you're making a bigger mistake by cutting us all off. This is vindictive and cruel. You were always the one Mom and Dad could count on. Don't throw that away because you're angry about one text message. Marcus. I read it twice. Then I replied, Marcus, you're right that you made a mistake. But your mistake wasn't quitting your job. Your mistake was assuming I'd fix it. I have been the stable one, the responsible one. For 13 years. I've been so stable and responsible that I paid Mom and Dad's mortgage for 6 years. I paid their car payments. I paid their utilities. I paid their credit cards. I paid for their lives. You want to know why they're panicking about the mortgage? Because they've been using my money to pay it. Not family money, my money. From my accounts that I opened, that I funded, that I was the sole owner of. You've been living in a $1,400 month apartment that you could barely afford on your $52,000 salary. You've been driving a leased Audi that costs $580 a month. You've been taking vacations to Miami and Vegas. How? Because I was paying Mom and Dad's bills, which freed up their money to give to you. I've been subsidizing your entire lifestyle while you called me the boring one, while you told people. I was just scraping by with my freelance graphic stuff. I'm not angry about one text message. I'm done with 13 years of being treated like a resource instead of a person. You don't owe me anything. But I don't owe you anything either. Figure it out. Jenna, I sent it. Then I blocked his email. 3 days later, I was working from home when someone knocked on my door. I checked the peephole. Mom, I didn't open it. Jenna, I know you're in there. Your car is in the parking garage. Please, we need to talk. I said nothing. Jenna, please. I'm your mother. I love you. We can work this out. Whatever I did wrong, I'm sorry. Just please talk to me. I stayed silent. She knocked for 5 more minutes. Then she left. I watched from my window as she got into her car, not the Lexus sedan, but an old Honda Civic. She sat in the driver's seat for a long time, just sitting. Then she drove away. I felt nothing. Not guilt. Not satisfaction. Nothing. That night, my phone rang from another unknown number. I'd stopped blocking them because there were too many. I just didn't answer. But this one left a voicemail. Miss Chun, this is David Brennan. I'm a financial advisor with Peterson and Associates. Your father asked me to review his financial situation. He's concerned about potentially losing his home. I've looked at the accounts in question, and I need to tell you, as an objective third party, that you are absolutely within your rights to revoke access. These accounts are yours. You owe no one access to your money. Your father seems to have believed these were joint family accounts, but legally and ethically, they're yours alone. I wanted you to know that. I hope this situation resolves in a way that's healthy for everyone involved. I saved the voicemail. 1 week after I'd sent that single word, now, I met Rebecca for coffee. How are you holding up? She asked. I'm fine, I said. Jenna, really? I'm fine. 67 calls in one night, that's not nothing. It's proof, I said. Proof that they only called when they needed something. When their cards declined. When their bills bounced. Not before. Not to check in. Not to ask how I was. Only when they needed me to fix something. Rebecca nodded slowly. Have you heard from them since you blocked them? Mom showed up at my apartment. I didn't answer. Good. Is it? I looked at her. Good? My mother drove 40 minutes to my apartment, and I hid behind my door like a coward. You set a boundary, Rebecca said. That's not cowardice. That's self-preservation. They think I'm cruel. They think you're cruel because they're finally experiencing what you experienced for years. Except you experienced it alone. They're experiencing it together, with each other for support, and they still can't handle it. I thought about that. Marcus got his job back, I said. I heard through a cousin.
He called his boss, begged, said he'd made a mistake.
They rehired him. Good. Mom and Dad took out a home equity loan. They're making the mortgage. Good. So everything's fine. They're handling it. They don't need me. Rebecca reached across the table and took my hand. Jenna, listen to what you just said. They're handling it. They're figuring it out. They're solving their own problems. That's what should have been happening all along. Then why do I feel so quote, guilty? Yes, because they trained you to feel that way. Because every time you did something for yourself, they called it selfishness. Every time you set a boundary, they called it abandonment. They taught you that your value was in what you provided, not in who you are. My eyes were burning. I don't want to be angry at them. You don't have to be angry. You can just be done. 1 month after the text, I was sitting in my therapist's office. I'd started going 2 years ago, right around the time Rebecca had pointed out the account situation. My therapist, Dr. Keiko Tanaka, had been the one to first suggest that my family's financial dynamics were unhealthy. How are you feeling about the decision? She asked. Relieved, I said. Is that horrible? Why would that be horrible? Because they're struggling. Marcus almost lost his apartment. Mom and Dad almost lost their house. I could have prevented that. By continuing to pay for their lives? Yes. At what cost to yourself? I didn't answer. Jenna, in the 2 years I've known you, you've never taken a vacation. You've never made a major purchase for yourself. You've never even bought new furniture. Why? Because I couldn't afford it. You make $165,000 a year plus bonuses. You absolutely could afford it. But every time you had extra money, where did it go? The account, their bills, their problems, their wants. When was the last time you bought something just because you wanted it? I thought about it. I couldn't remember. That's not generosity, Dr. Tanaka said gently. That's self-erasure. And now that you've stopped erasing yourself, they're calling it cruelty. But it's not. It's just visibility. They really didn't know?
I asked, that those were my accounts? Does it matter?
Yes, no, I don't know. I think they knew on some level. But knowing meant confronting what they were taking. So they didn't look too closely. They accepted the arrangement because it benefited them. Marcus said I owe them. Because of everything Mom and Dad did for me. What did they do for you? I tried to think. They raised me, fed me, housed me. Those are baseline parental responsibilities. Not special favors. They supported me. Did they? Or did they support your usefulness? That landed hard. You're not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm, Dr. Tanaka said. Especially when they're perfectly capable of finding their own heat. 2 months after everything changed, I did something I'd never done before. I took a vacation. I booked a trip to Japan. 2 weeks. I stayed in nice hotels. I ate at nice restaurants. I bought things I wanted, souvenirs, clothes, books. I spent $6,000, and I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. While I was in Kyoto, I got an email from an address I recognized. Aunt Sarah, my dad's sister. Jenna, your father told me what happened. He asked me to reach out. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But I want you to know something. When you were 16 and saving for that car, I offered to loan you money. Your parents said no. They said you needed to learn responsibility. I thought it was harsh, but I didn't push. When Marcus wanted his car, they didn't talk about responsibility. They consigned immediately. I noticed. I said nothing. I should have said something. You don't owe them anything. You don't owe anyone anything. I'm proud of you. Aunt Sarah, I sat in a tea house in Kyoto and cried. Not sad crying, release crying. Someone had noticed. Someone had seen. Someone was proud. When I got back from Japan, my apartment felt different, lighter, like something heavy had been removed. The phone that didn't ring anymore wasn't a loss. It was a gift. Every silent morning was mine. Every dollar I earned was mine. Every decision was mine. I'd been paying for my own dismissal for 13 years, funding the family that called me boring while spending my money, financing people who thought I owed them. And now I wasn't 3 months after I de-typed that single word. Now, I was sitting on my balcony with my morning coffee when I realized something. I hadn't thought about them in 3 days. Not Mom, not Dad, not Marcus. 3 days of my life where they hadn't occupied my thoughts. Where I hadn't wondered if they were okay. Where I hadn't felt guilty or angry or sad. 3 days of just living. It was the first time in my entire adult life. I thought about the text that had started everything. Marcus saying, "You owe me after all Mom and Dad did for you." I didn't owe him. I never had. But I'd been paying anyway. For 13 years, paying in money, paying in time, paying in self-erasure. And the only thing I'd gotten in return was the label of responsible. The word they used when they meant exploitable. I set down my coffee. I picked up my phone. I opened my banking app. My accounts, not our accounts showed healthy balances, savings, investments, freedom. I opened my calendar. It showed upcoming trips, plans, a life being lived. I opened my photos, Japan, Kyoto, Osaka, me smiling in front of temples and gardens and street markets. Me smiling. When was the last time they'd see me smile like that? Maybe never, because I'd never had space to smile. I'd been too busy being responsible. My phone buzzed, a text from Rebecca. "How's the freedom feeling?" I typed back, like breathing. She sent back a single emoji. For the first time in my adult life, my money was going toward my life, not their mortgage. Not their cars. Not their comfort. Mine. I booked another trip. New Zealand, 4 weeks. I'd never taken 4 weeks off in my entire career. I bought new furniture. A couch that wasn't from Craigslist. A bed that wasn't a hand-me-down. I invested. Real estate. Index funds. My future. I lived, and somewhere between the 67th panicked call and the silent morning on my balcony, I realized something profound. They'd called me responsible my entire life. They'd meant it as a compliment, as identity, as a role. But what they'd really meant was, you're the one who'll handle it. You're the one who'll sacrifice. You're the one who won't complain. And I'd believed them. I'd worn responsible like armor. Like proof that I was good, that I was worthy, that I was enough. But I'd been enough all along. I just hadn't been free. Now I was both. The brother who texted "you owe me" learned that debt flows both ways. And sometimes, the only way to balance the scales is to walk away from them entirely. Boundaries don't destroy families. They define them. And my family had just learned what being defined without me felt like. I didn't owe them my money. I didn't owe them my guilt. I didn't owe them my peace. I didn't owe them anything. And that single word, now, had been the first word of my real life. If you've ever had to draw a line with someone who called it love, share your story below. You're not alone, and you don't owe anyone your peace.